Yo, what is good? My anime people, what is good, yo? So, we got a man running around with a cursed sword, and we got our silent protagonist that pretty much doesn't need to say anything anymore, but he could be learning how to say something soon, but I think we still gotta wait for him to defeat more demons, which I had an interesting conversation with one of my buddies about this already too, is he had the sentiments of he didn't like the fact that, or I mean, sure he might not like full on be like, oh my god, this is terrible, this is I can't watch this anymore type of dislike, but he likes it better that he had these these parts and stuff that have blades in them, like these prosthetic arms and legs that pretty much gives this character some of its glory, like some of the glory that it comes with it. It's kind of like this character I'm using right now. If you take away all this armor and stuff, it's just a guy with wielding a giant sword. It's like it's not the story of someone from Dark Souls 1 anymore. Uh, so if that is the case, it it's totally understandable, and um, not to mention that the character's whole persona of being quiet and not really having any way to communicate came from these aspects of what he's already gaining back. To see what he gains back in this week's episode is actually pretty telling of even more of what's to come with these series. But I'll get to that later. With this episode pretty much opening up with the kid watching him standing out in the rain, just looking up at it. It's this very very beautiful imagery of some woman or some girl. She's really young, uh, showing up and seeing it and portraying it as um, him listening, trying to listen to the rain. And it was really cool to think of it that way. And then when it comes down to the final scenes, that's where it ends, is him still kind of not understanding what the sound of the rain really is, and is still so interested in every little aspect of this world that he truly felt like he probably never felt welcomed in. So to have that imagery in there with a character who doesn't even use his words was so peaceful for me for some reason, even though there's so much brutal stuff that happens this week. um, we pretty much learned that demons have been around in this world much longer than we probably know, and by seeing this we saw a sword that's been just rusted to all god knows what, and somehow the sword gets drenched in some blood of like 15 men that weren't fighting back or anything. And now all of a sudden, here we have a sword that is straight up ready to destroy any and everybody in its way. And to see this happening and to actually watch all the characters who are involved in the sense, like the people who pretty much egg this man on, the older brother of the girl that we meet in this week's episode, they pretty much egged him on to, so far that, well, there's people that do peer pressure and stuff like that, but this man had him, my God, had him, pushed so far to the limit that since he disobeyed, he was supposed to die. He was supposed to take his own life. Um, which I think still applied almost in a certain text, like it's almost as if he, by killing all of them and with the sword that's even weaker and dull, like way more brutal than he was gonna do with his own sword that's like clean and would be a quick clean cut. He had to use it with a dull blade that after he hits him with it for the first time, he's still alive. And to think that the sword is then drinking his blood is actually like kind of crazy to me. So it was getting ridiculous with how much they were just showing of him like swinging and then just blood flying, like just it's like they were painting the Kool-Aid something. They're just they're going off with the Kool-Aid. But I think it was better than just them going in and showing it like for the sake of showing it. I mean, it's not that hard to imagine after the way we saw it being used the first time what this man is doing to all of these guys. So yeah. Um, with all that being said, somehow the demon sword kept talking to him, which they seemingly were like a good compatible uh, group, and because of that, it led to him pretty much having the sword take it possess of somebody and find a way to get back to its owner. So I thought that was a pretty dope way to put all together that this is this sword actually wanted to be back with him. It could This kid literally could almost drench just as much blood, if not more blood, if he learned to wield it and stuff. So well, I guess he can't do more because that man, he got a lot of blood. That man got a lot of blood. Holy crap. But yeah, so with all that being said, I don't know where, like how we're gonna be able to tell which demon gives him what, like, body part after being defeated, but seemingly what I saw in this week was not him so much defeating the demon as much as he was he was trying to defeat the sword. And by killing the human, for some reason the sword itself kind of died with them. Unless they kind of left that out in the animation or something. If you guys have seen previous stories of the demon sword, let me know. Did he actually break the sword? Did he wipe the seal off the sword? Why did the demon die for him to be able to gain? And what I was getting to earlier in this, before I was about to say this, was he gets his ears back in this week's episode. So to know that all of a sudden, he's pretty much gaining all these parts, and now he can hear. The first thing he started to try to listen to was the rain, and it was a weird, peaceful moment to know that that's always why he's been looking up like that, and it's pretty cool. Not to mention that we're probably going to see a lot more. We're going to see a lot more character development for him now that he's going to be able to hear and probably write. Well, he knows how to write his own name, but maybe he doesn't know how to write other words. So maybe he's going to go through a learning period where he'll learn more words. I'm not sure, but the one thing that really tripped me out, and I don't know if anybody else caught this or even cared. Hold on. Excuse me. I don't know if anyone caught this or cared to like talk about it, but why did this man look exactly like the blind dude that we were like teamed up with? And not to mention, where was the blind man with the instrumentals? Like, these are the things in this story that kind of just happen, and it works because you can imagine this guy who is our main character just walking off. He's just like, like I got places to go. Not to mention, if demons can call out through like magical weapons and all this and that, clearly they have some latent abilities that are maybe keen to just them, in the sense of once they get enough power they can start doing things. So I wouldn't be surprised if not only the reason why he can see their like red evil aura without his eyes and stuff, or like he can sense them, so to speak. Well, yeah, no, the old man who's blind even said he looks at them with his eyes. His eye sees darkness, but when he sees the shadow or like the souls of the human or the demon, it comes off as red or white. So to think that that might play a huge role of him gaining his eyes back and not being able to look and see a demon with his eyes anymore might really tell us just where the story's going. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is how much he relies on his prosthetics in fights is actually crazy, because he was born with them, and it makes so much sense that he wouldn't be afraid to allow those prosthetic parts to take the full blunt of an attack. I gotta stop doing back and triangle. The full blunt of attack, and if that is the case, boom bam, then he's in, like he literally did that like 2 times or 3 times just in this fight alone, sacrificing an arm or a leg just so he can catch the enemy off guard. And I do back triangle again. So with all that being said, I honestly think we're in good hands when it comes down to this show portraying something along the lines of everybody's wishes, in the sense of hopefully he keeps his power, like, because clearly he got supernatural power from whatever this demon. Oh, try to block me. Whatever happened throughout all this, he got power that a human shouldn't have. Way more agility, way more strength, different things that not every human's going to get. But for all that to be said, we're also getting a relatively innocent kid growing out of all of these parts that he's getting back, and it must be hard to imagine what it's going to be like now that he can hear people crying, he can hear people calling out for help. He can hear demons trying to cut deals with him and trying to manipulate him and talking about all that stuff. All these different things are going to start playing roles, and I think that's where the little kid and the girl will have to play a bigger part, and just showing him what's good and what's evil. And that seemingly will be a lot more entertaining than just even the fighting, in my opinion, because he could make some wrong choices at this point, and he has the strength to destroy quite a bit of people. So everybody's in danger when this man comes swinging. So with that, everybody, I still got to go watch Mob Psycho. I have dropped I was reincarnated as a slime, so check that out and let me know how you guys are feeling about that show and that week's episode. Other than that, though, I'm about to drop Mob Psycho later today, so if you guys are excited about that, and sub to my channel for Mob Psycho, I apologize that it's the later thing coming out this week. I like to kind of shuffle them up, like maybe one time I will have Slime coming out at a later time. It's just Slime is one of my favorite shows that came out in 2018, so to have it going later was kind of rough for me. So I'll think about it. Unless you guys don't want it, then that even helps me focus more on what I want to do. I can put out the stuff that people really, really want. And for instance, Mob Psycho might be more wanted than this show, and I can get it out second every time until Mob Psycho is done. So with that being said, guys, this channel is mine as much as it is yours, because I want you guys to be able to put your input out there and actually see the changes. So with all that being said, it's time for me to watch the Mob Psycho and have it up on the channel as soon as I can. So with that, everybody, have a good day, night, evening, whatever the case it is when you're watching this. I am the Anime G, and if you want more content from me, I'm on Twitter a lot now, and I also am working on being on Twitch a lot more. Every time I get off YouTube and stuff and make my videos, I should be on Twitch pretty much playing games, because that's all I do, and there's no reason why I shouldn't stream it. So alright guys, I hope you enjoy your days, and I will talk to you later. Alright, peace.